When I started my healing process, and it took years, and my healing process started with me having to forgive everybody, every doctor who didn't ask the right question, every educator, and when I was angry, nobody asked the right question. My mother, because she didn't shoot me, but she brought the guns in the house. All the men that they are, if they didn't physically or sexually victimize me, they mentally victimized me sexually. I had to forgive them, right? And so that little girl was still angry. The adult me knew I had to do it, but the little girl couldn't understand because they were unworthy. Why should she forgive them? Like as an adult, I had to, because I was raising kids and I was, I just didn't want them to have control over me as an adult anymore. But that little girl fought against that. She was like, why would you forgive someone who did such horrible things to you, who didn't protect you, who was supposed to love you? Why would you forgive them? And it took me years to convince her that it was okay to forgive them. Not because they deserved it, not because they were worthy of it, but because if we did not forgive them, they would still be controlling us.
If you can hear me, clap one time. If you can hear me, clap two times. Awesome. We are getting ready to start. Can you please go in the middle of the pavilion? Yeah, that's what this is. As you know, my name is Tona Bugger. I'm a sexual abuse survivor and an advocate. I have been advocating for no more for many years. Every 9 minutes, a child is being sexually abused. 93% of us know somebody. We knew the person personally. These are not random people coming to our homes, victimizing our children. These are people that they love and trust. And so with that, we have to educate them. And people always say, oh, so-and-so won't do it. And I say this all the time. If they look like a predator, if they talk like a predator, if they act like a predator, you want to have your kids around them. That's the thing. They're predators. They're very crafty. So we need to have our eyes open to power our children. No signs about from children. My signs were there the whole time.
Reflecting back, I can remember the earliest time of my abuse started between the age of maybe 2 up until I was maybe about, 12 or 13.
I was 13 when it started.
I was probably about 12, 13.
My earliest memory of being victimized would be 5 years old.
I was about 3 years old, and I was sleeping in the middle room. We had 3 rooms on the floor, and I was sleeping in the middle room. And I just remember, hearing footsteps coming into the bedroom, and my technically my mother and him were never married, but I called him my dad, getting in the bed with me. And I remember him taking my 3-year-old little hand and putting it around his penis, and putting his hands around my hand and moving it up and down until my hand was wet, right? And I didn't know what it was, and I just remember him saying, Tony, you're such a good girl. And the whole time he was like, you're such a good girl. You're such a good girl.
One day I remember going to bed with my brother. I don't know why I slept in his room that night, but I remember falling asleep next to my brother, my little brother, and I woke up and my dad was behind me, groping me, like holding on to me as if I was his woman. And automatically, it was alarming for me because I had never been in a situation like that. And I tried to get away. Like that was my first instinct. I just wanted to get away. And so like as I was trying to get up, he was asking me questions like, are you coming back to bed? Where are you going? And it was just weird. And so I tried to go in the bathroom. He came into the bathroom like, are you coming back to bed? I just remember trying to look for my mom, and she was nowhere around. She was there, I just didn't know where she was in the house. I tried to go downstairs to see if she was downstairs, and she wasn't. So I went in the kitchen kind of like freaking out because I didn't know what that was. And he came and found me, and he came up behind me and started touching my breast and my vagina and my ass, telling me that all guys want was this.
I come from a home where there was nothing but abuse in the home, period. Okay, my mother didn't care for me, and at that time in my life when I came into the world, abuse was always hidden. You know, you're not supposed to talk about it. Protect the abuser, deny the abused any type of help, blame them, continuously harm her, and let her carry all of this guilt and shame.
My abuser was my stepdad, and he would have me come to the room like he wanted to talk to me or something. And I was dutiful and obedient as a child, so when a grown-up told me to do something, I did it. I didn't say no. He did everything but had intercourse with me. I'll just say it like that. And through the course of this abuse, it would confuse me because I knew it was wrong, but I don't know how to say it. I felt like my body betrayed me because it would like the abuse, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but like my body would be feeling sensations like it was good, but I knew inherently it was wrong.
I remember my parents were going out for the evening, and they got a friend of the family's son to watch me. And all I remember was, be on your best behavior, don't be given any hard times, or you're going to be in trouble when I get back. So, yeah, that's what he used against me at 5 years old, that if I didn't do what he said for me to do, that he was going to tell that I was not listening and I was being bad and I was going to get in trouble. The first time I can go right back to it. At 5 years old, it was in the bathroom, the bathroom, the common bathroom area where everyone would normally use, and I remember him fondling me in the bathroom because I was in there using the bathroom, and then he came in. And then I remember him putting me down on the floor, and that's when he entered me.
I believe that there's 3 phases of being abused. The one is when you're a victim. And a victim to me, this is only my opinion, the victim to me is when we never tell anyone. A survivor to me is that you have the courage to tell just one person. And an advocate is my cray self who can't stop thinking about how do we make sure that this happens to nobody else's child. How do we come together to give a voice to the voiceless?
My mom all the time was trying to protect us, protect kids in the area from being molested and abused, and she was sleeping with the enemy basically and had no idea. And at 13, I was smart. I had my diary. I never wrote about it. I never told anybody about it. I was very careful because in my mind I had to be a martyr. This is my baby sister's dad and my mom's boyfriend, and I had to protect them, so I was a martyr. I was like, as long as he doesn't do it to anyone else, I'm fine. You know, if I gotta take it, I will, so nobody else has to suffer.
Because I tried to tell, I just felt like he punished me for that in ways like, just like he treated me and my brother really different. He was telling everybody how I was lying in my face. I tried multiple times to come out and like say he's lying. He would shut me up, beat me, to the point where like I just became so numb.
What was your mom doing during this whole time?
Believe in him?
Was he beating her?
Yes.
Okay.
He left me there on the floor. And I remember at 5 years old not knowing why there was something on the bathroom floor. Because he had, violated me and he had torn me. So the first feeling I go to is the dampness of the floor, the coldness of the floor, because that's my safety. That's all I knew at that moment to cover me and save me at that moment, was to feel that feeling versus which was actually what was taking place.
Were you able to tell?
I was able to tell. When my parents came home, I didn't tell that night because he didn't tell that night, which was, I felt as he was the babysitter, he was going to tell what had happened and what we did. And either way, I was still going to get in trouble because I knew that that wasn't something that should have happened. So I didn't tell right then. But when they asked him to watch me again, that's when I told.
What was the response?
They didn't believe me. Yeah, no, they didn't believe me.
Now, as I'm getting older, there were still family members that were still touching, still trying to have sex with me, threatening me, you know what I'm saying? So, of course, I still had those behaviors, you know? And so, as I got older, those behaviors, they kept repeating themselves, and I became very vigilant. I became angry. I became bitter. I'm talking about a little girl, right, that is being blamed for a bunch of grown men that are using her to their demise.
So the people who were victimizing you, you knew them.
Family.
Family.
It was family.
I was in class, and the students were not listening to the teacher at that time. And she got upset and she raised her voice. So I remember walking over to the desk as clear as I could see it, so clear. I had long hair, 2 ponytails. I had on this cute little dress, and I went over to her because she was upset, and I lifted my dress up. And she was horrified because I lifted my dress up. And I couldn't understand why she was horrified, because my dad at the time would say that made him happy. So all I was doing and my little mom was making her happy. And so she called my mom, and my mom, was upset, and I got, chewed out when I got home. And at that point, I was labeled fast. God, black folk. I was labeled fast, meaning that I was doing sexual stuff very early. I was the fast at 4 years old. I was labeled fast because I did something sexual, and nobody even questioned why I was doing it.
I hated my body. I wanted to be so tiny and small that nobody could see me or touch me or feel me because of the way that these abusers had done me.
I used to say to myself, even being victimized starting at the age of 3, I remember saying to myself, is this crazy? And I lived with this for many years. Yes. What was it about me that made him attracted? What was it about me? Not that he was sick, but what was it about me that made him attracted to a 3-year-old kid?
Right.
Is that crazy? Yes. And so for years, I hated. I told you I always had body image.
Yes.
And it's funny because me and my daughter go back and forth, and I said this about me being obsessed with working out and blah, 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 and still probably feeling ugly 80% of the time. That's why I do it. But anyway, her always saying like how obsessed I was. That was an illness that came from the abuse, because I didn't know, I couldn't understand. I was like, something's wrong with me because I keep attracting certain men. Not something wrong with them, but there's always something wrong with me.
Yeah, because I was in my relationship 8 years. He cheated the whole time we was together.
Right.
But because I am the broken woman that I am, and I've never said that before, I kept taking it back. And my family didn't understand what's wrong with you. You're a beautiful girl. Why are you going through this? Do y'all understand that this is the first man I've been with that was proud to be my man?
Right. Right.
We learned this.
Like they didn't understand. They're like, what do you mean? Like, I'm like, y'all don't understand. It's the first man I've been with that was proud to be with me, that thought I was beautiful. So,
and hurt me at the same time.
And they're like, why you keep going back? Because he loves me.
Because when we're uneducated, that's what we do. We go back to what we know.
It has given me all the wrong choices in roads to go down. The promiscuity that most victims speak about. Yeah, that was me. Self-medicating. That was me. Self-medicating with alcohol and just trying to hurt myself. Suicidal thoughts. And just not really being open to talk much about it. That's where I was at for a long time in life.
Years went on. I went into foster homes. I was living on the streets. I was living with anybody that would, take me in, because I was chameleon. See, I had to learn how to maneuver in life. So I learned how to live like you. I learned how to live like her. I learned how to live like him. I learned how to disguise everything about me. Okay? I learned how to just get in the chameleon and fit in. Toe up and messed up on the inside. I really didn't want nobody to know the real me. And sometimes living in different homes, I was raped many a times. I remember staying with a friend, And her uncle told me he was going to take me back to the foster home. And he said, but I got to make a stop. Went into it. He told me to come into the apartment. And he locked the doors. He pulled off his belt, wrapped it in his hand, and made me have sex with him. And the more I screamed, the more he was trying to hit me with the belt buckle. I was raped quite a few times on the streets, you know. And I would go tell my mom because nobody else was there. So maybe, could you just love me? Could you just hold me? Why don't you? I'm hurting. It still didn't matter. And so living with a lot of sexual trauma, rapes, and left to my own devices, I made bad choices. And when I finally got old enough to say, okay, I want a baby, I'm gonna treat my child better than what they did me, this, that, and the third, it didn't work out that way. Because see, I was never healed. I never started a process. No one ever gave me that chance to start processing a healing process for me. And so I made bad decisions as a mother.
Cigarettes and alcohol. I could still smell the alcohol on his breath every time he came. We would have people downstairs. You understand me? We would have parties downstairs because my mother was. They socialized, and this grown behind man would be putting his fingers in my vagina, masturbating while he is violating me, while people were in the house. Let's go back a little bit. Of a system that fell to me, right? That failed me. I didn't have to tell, but all my signs were there. So I started peeing on myself again, right? Urinating, peeing on myself again. And so my mother took me to the doctor. That's how bad the trauma was. I would just pee on myself all the time. And I was fully potty trained before he started touching me. And went to the doctors, and the doctor was like, oh, let's do some tests. And he says, I remember, getting a phone call, they got a landline, and my mother said, okay. She came back, she was like, well, the doctor said you have a kidney, your kidneys may be bad, and she started giving me cranberry juice. Then I went to the doctors one time because my vagina was bruised. I was in pain. But he had told me to tell him that I had hurt myself on a bike. So I told him everything. But nobody asked questions. Like, nobody was like, okay. I never understood, like, why nobody asked questions. I stayed in the hospital for different little things here and there. And nobody asked any questions.
I abused alcohol, sex, and compulsive spending. Like, I was very impulsive, and I was able to stop the sex and the alcohol, but not the impulsive with the money. Like, I just would destroy myself. And it was because I just guess I didn't think anybody cared, to be honest, and I just felt like I was hurt. So I thought sex was the way I could control the men in my life, not realizing it controlled me. So that's how I would think. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get them what they want, And my stepdad taught me a long time ago that the abuse, what he was doing to me, was about him. I was to receive no pleasure. So I'm trying not to be fresh, but so at 41, I'm finally realizing I don't want to have intercourse with somebody and I don't feel anything physically. Like, it was all emotion, it was all ego. But I want to feel like a physical connection too, because I deserve that. I deserve to enjoy sex, And for so long I was pretending like I was with it, but it was because it was for the man, because it was ingrained in me that it is about the man and not about me.
I just remember being like a bright little girl. I just remember being like so full of life. Just like so smart. And when that happened to me, I just feel like my whole life just went down the drain, and I just started being promiscuous. Actually, it didn't even really start then. I was just real evil after that. I was angry because nobody heard me. And then it happened to my sisters. And by the time it happened to my sisters, I was like nobody couldn't talk to me. I was like, fuck y'all, pretty much. I tried to tell y'all. And then after that, I just, It's okay.
Anybody listen to the sisters?
They thought they were lying too. They thought that we all came together and talked about how we were gonna lie on my dad so that he could get out, because aside from the abuse, he was a good father as well. He took care of the home. I like to call him a sociopath.
This is 116 Hoffman Avenue, and I started being sexually abused here by somebody that I loved and somebody that I trusted, starting at the age of 3 years old.
Come to find out that even the people on the street knew about the abuse that was going on in this house. Some years later, they would tell me that, you know, it's a sad what happened to you as a little girl, how, you know, they did you, and, you know, it's no wonder that you wound up on drugs, you know, and things of that nature.
I've always been age appropriate open about my childhood too. I think a lot of us, we keep that secret in, and when we do that, it allows the predators or not give the power to the child, so it keeps happening. It keeps happening, and I was like, oh, it's not gonna happen, it's gonna stop right here. All the torture I experienced, it was not gonna go down to another generation. What would you tell a little girl that's inside you?
I talk to her often. I would tell her that I did the right thing by telling, and I protected me after that, because I felt as though the adults that were supposed to protect us didn't. And as I've said to her several times in the last couple of years while I'm walking in my recovery, we got this. No more will anybody ever, under the sound of my voice, ever feel like I felt as a little girl. That's my purpose and my passion. Yeah.
That she could say no. That she doesn't have to be a martyr. That she doesn't have to sacrifice herself anymore. You know, what happened to her, me, was wrong. It was never my fault. And I am worthy to be loved and respected other than in the physical sense. And I can give love without it always having to be just physical.
That it's okay. I got you. I know we've been through so much, but we made it. We surviving now. We're not existing, we're surviving. And no matter what comes down the pipe, we gonna make it.
That I love her. And I'm sorry.
Are you sorry because, are you sorry?
I'm just sorry that it happened to her. That it happened to me.
To her? Are you talking to that little girl?
She completely changed.
But does the little girl understand that she did nothing wrong?
I'm actually trying to process that. In many ways, I'm still punishing myself for the trauma that happened to me.
To this day, I still talk to her. I still have to talk to her that you're worthy, that you're beautiful, that you did nothing wrong. She always still needs to be taught to. I don't think I'm gonna stop talking to that little girl inside me until we leave this earth, because it's trauma. That's why it's called post-traumatic stress disorder. So her healing will always be a residue of who I am. Her healing is going to be a residue of who I am. So I need to make sure that I stay in constant. When I find myself attracting a narcissistic man, I'm like, all right, little girl, what we still need to work on, because I know that you're powerful, and I know that you're strong, and I know that you're a survivor, and I know that you're a conqueror. I know that he didn't defeat you. I know that he didn't break you. He has no more power over you. That's what I tell her all the time.
name is Naisha, also known as Braveheart. I grew up around here, and I have something I want to share about my experience about growing up on the street. UGLY, you ain't got no alibi. You ugly. You ugly. UGLY. Heard that word so much, I used to think it was my first name. Looked that word up in the dictionary, and I would have sworn there was a picture of me there. Look at me. Take a good look. You think by looking at me, you know me? You don't know me. You don't know my struggle. It was ugly. Looking in the mirror was pointless when I knew the horror staring back at me. I just wanted to break it and slam all the hurt away. Ugly. Couldn't even walk down my block. My name, Ugly, will ring out like a fire alarm. Juice containers being thrown my way along with that nasty name, Ugly. That one word has always conjured up so much trauma and pain for me. Confidence was stolen from me. How could I believe in me? Ugly. Pretty. Those were my sisters, my friends, not me. Always the ugly duckling. Never quite shed that awful cloak. It is devastating to me when those closest to you believe ugly is your name. Fighting to take back the power that name took away. You pity me, but secretly you are elated that you don't look like me. Let me tell you something. Beautiful is this creamy caramel skin, almond eyes, and sweet smile. Don't pity me, I pity you. Wanted me to stay down in the pit of despair. You don't love me. I don't need you anymore. Beauty is now synonymous with me. My daughter gave me back my beauty. Daily I look at her and I smile. Fighting back tears, for she is stronger than me. Like I remind her that she is beautiful and she knows it. I remind her that she is beautiful just the way she is. Like a butterfly, free from its cocoon, I am free. Liberated from all the ugliness. Flying above it all and coming back down to face my reflection. Beaming with pride, I look in the mirror and I say, you are beautiful.
If you can have just a little bit of ounce of strength and courage to go to a teacher, somebody next door, somebody that you can say, listen, I'm over here in this house being hurt. Go tell. Go tell.
Just because they took your innocence doesn't mean they took your identity. I think sometimes we think about our innocence has been stolen and that defines who we are. And that's for me as much as it is for anyone else.
No matter what life has put us through, just stay strong. Keep going. Look for resources. Go seeking for help because it ain't gonna come to you. I had to go look for it.
Love you first. Never stop loving yourself. And never think that it's too late to begin loving you.